Hi everybody, Jeff Yastine here, and as always, make sure to write me. I'd love to hear your comments and questions. The address is jeff@yastine.com, and of course you can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook as well. And feel free to pass along the video. Well, these days, if you're investing or speculating in the drone or drone technology sector, just keep these words in mind. If the wind blows hard enough, even a turkey can fly. And keep in mind, turkeys versus eagles. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you my opinions about a drone stock that I think you should avoid and a pair of drone stocks that I think are eagles for the long term and that will continue to gain altitude long after sort of the current stock buying mania of everything and anything subsides. Now there's an investing lesson in all this before I tell you the names of all three companies. Turkeys. Stocks that are turkeys, in my opinion, are companies that have little in the way of revenue or profit and business plans that require investors to take really, huge leaps of faith. Now, risk-taking is a part of any business, so I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong or that a company cannot succeed, of course, but the potential problem is that when investors' faith runs out, when the buying winds die down, in other words, for the stock, there may not be anything else left to continue to hold it up, to support it. Eagles, in my opinion, and on the other hand, are stocks that already have a history of demonstrated sales, cash flow, and usually profits, which tend to help their share price do well over long periods of time, through the thick and thins of the market. For instance, many people keep asking me about Ag Eagle, symbol UAVS. I've said to avoid the stock and would continue to say that now. In past quarters, the company said its focus was using drones to help farmers manage their crops. More recently, the company seems to be shifting focus somewhat to being a contract manufacturer of commercial delivery drones. But investors have to take a big leap of faith here. According to its reported numbers, revenues are growing in the last couple of quarters, but it's still tiny. It's $3 million in sales so far this year. Yet the company is a long way from profitability with a widening amount of red ink on both its cash flow and losses to its bottom line. All the while, the company continues to offer more and more stock for sale. The number of shares available has more than quadrupled over the last few years. Now, these offerings generate cash for the company, but it also dilutes the value of existing shareholders' ownership stakes. So something else you have to keep in mind on all this. And yet the stock price, as we see on the chart here, is more than doubled in value just in the last handful of trading sessions. Now, perhaps the company and the shares can keep moving higher. And if you've made money on the stock, I congratulate you. And just keep in mind the difference in risks here between short-term speculation versus investing over a long period of time where you have to commit capital for long periods and of course also take the risk of more losses. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to eagles, I have two drone stocks that I think are worth a closer look. One is AeroVironment, symbol AVAV. Now this is a company that's been in business and made profits for many years and builds drones for the U.S. Defense Department and allied militaries around the world. Now one of AeroVironment's newer products is in essence a drone that soldiers in the field can use as a tiny yet powerful guided missile to take out threats. It's called the Switchblade. AeroVironment also makes small surveillance drones of different kinds that, for instance, an infantry squad can use to spot enemy soldiers or terrorists, whether they're a block or two away and they can't see them over the next hill or in the next valley. Best of all, AeroVironment has been great at steadily building its revenue and positive cash flow, while its profits, and it does report historic profits, are set to rise by more than 50% over the next few years. Meanwhile, what's the stock doing? It remains 25% below its highs from 2 years ago. So a lot of this profit growth is not already priced into the stock. Now, another drone stock that I like is one that I'm sure you've probably never heard of. It's called Cayman Corp, symbol KAMN. Now, Cayman does a lot of high-tech design and manufacturing work in the aerospace, industrial, and medical sectors, but its real call to fame since its founding 70 years ago, is developing high-tech helicopters. The company's next big product may well be its K-MAX autonomous heavy lift helicopters, which it says it will start delivering to customers next year, according to published reports. Now, for the last 10 years, Cayman has been working out the kinks on this K-MAX helicopter system with an eye toward military use and for carrying freight in remote or dangerous areas. For instance, in 2012, Cayman loaned the Marine Corps a pair of K-MAX demonstration autonomous choppers, which successfully carried over 1 million pounds of supplies to Marine forward operating bases in Taliban territory and indeed all over Afghanistan's rugged terrain. Historically profitable with good cash flow, Cayman even pays a 1.4% dividend at current prices. Yet the stock also remains about 25% below its all-time highs of 2018. Now, you've probably noticed that both Eagles that I mentioned here, AeroVironment and Cayman Corp, are defense contractors, do the bulk of their work with the defense sector. That's an important and hidden advantage in my opinion. In essence, military contracts help pay for the development of emerging technology, and that's important in a fast-changing sector like autonomous drones, where a typical company would otherwise have to fund its own technology development. And of course, often they're doing that by selling more stock and by taking on lots of bank loans, which puts ever larger risks on stock investors for that company, hoping for a bigger payoff later on. So in this case, we're getting the Defense Department and allied militaries that in essence are bankrolling the development of these autonomous drone technologies, which there's nothing to say that they can't then continue to expand into the civilian sector, as many companies like Boeing and others have done literally for many, many decades. If you like what I'm talking about, continue to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Jeff Yastine.